We're fine here. We're all fine here now. How are you? Here we are with issue 48. And let's go ahead and get started. So in this issue, we'll talk about the TIE D Defender. So that'll be interesting. And then we're going to visit Ord Mantell. Ord Mantell's a interesting spot to go to. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. And then we're going to explore Arabesh. Arabesh is the written part of what they call basic. So we'll be able to explore that and give us an opportunity to maybe read some of the Star Wars stuff. So that'll be kind of cool. And let's go ahead and get into this issue. So let's take a look at the parts that we get. So in this issue, we're going to get, so we get a couple of these pieces here. So we get those. We'll set those off to the side. We're going to get some hull plating, and not sure how that goes together, but that'll be interesting. We get some framework, so there's that. So the hull plating and the framework, these are all top pieces. So we're looking at TP4, TP5, TP4 and 5. We'll set those off to the side. And for the framework, we have TF7 and TF8. So there we go. Set those over there because we know we're not going to be working on the top just yet. Oh, and we got that clear part of the donut, so of which I've already put together. All right, so in this issue, we are going to be putting together, looks like we're going to be putting together this part of the ring for the ventral turret, which I believe means the bottom. Now, the nice thing is this one, they've actually got lined up. Line this up in here, and it actually lines up correctly. So if you recall, the top, we had to kind of break this apart and reposition it. This one's already positioned correctly. So we have this. I don't know why that's not locking in place. There we go. So we have that. It goes in here. We get that put in. And then we have this piece here, which will go there. So obviously, we have to put this part in first. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's get our glue. And so what I'm going to have to do is I'll get this put together, and then I'll get it painted after it's all put together, blacked out as it were, so that way we can get it mounted, and we'll do that as well. All right, there's that. Let's go ahead and get this thing masked off. There we go. Now we've got it ready to go paint. I'll get that painted and we'll come back when that's all done. But while we're getting this painted, let's go ahead and jump over to do something a little bit extra special. I haven't, it's something I've been kicking around. I think I've mentioned it a time or two, so let's go ahead and jump over to that. All right, so what I want to do here is, as I showed this before, kind of get it so you can see it without being a shadow. So this section back here on the floor is, I kind of screwed up when I painted, and so my plan is to build something that will cover that up. So I have an idea. We're going to try to implement it and see how it goes. So what I'm going to use is this square stock here. Some of these pieces here. I've got these small pieces as well. These little rectangle pieces, they're 0.02 by 0.03, so nearly squares. And this piece is 0.02 by 0.1, and these are 1/4 inch rectangles. I also have some round stock that is 3/16 inch tube. So that is going to get me hopefully what I need to do in order to do this. So what I'm going to build is a tray, and then we're going to have some boxes and barrels or something on it. So we're going to see how that comes out. So let's go ahead and see if we can't maybe square this off. See how that comes out. Not very well. There we go. And it's not very square. It's more square than what it was, but I have my sanding block here, so we'll be doing some sanding and that kind of stuff. So the first thing I need to do, that side's tore up too. So the first thing I need to do is figure out how long I need it. It looks like it's going to be somewhere around an inch. I'm going to use my hobby knife here, and it goes out to 80 and, or no, 78. So 78 down to 65. So about 13 on here. So I need it to be 13 on this scale. Yeah. Oh, let's do this one. So this scale here is 1/4 inch equals an inch. So this actually has 1/4 inches on it. So let's go by that, because then I can make sense of it all. So we're looking at, we need something an inch or maybe a little bit less. So let's go ahead and try to get this mocked up here. So I'm going to cut it a little bit long. All right. So that's not perfect, but it's pretty darn close. And that's really all we need. Okay. So On top of that, this needs to be a little bit wider because right now, it's actually not a bad size. But I want it to be a little bit wider because if I make boxes out of this, I don't want them to sit right on top. I need this to be a little bit wider than what the boxes are going to be. So what I want to do is I'm going to cut this and I want to graph in another piece. So what I need to be able to do is cut this straight, and then that way whatever piece I graphed in is going to be straight as well. So and I don't know if you can tell, but I'm using the back of the knife to make that cut, and basically I'm scoring it, and I'm going to try to break this if I can. So if you don't quite remember, this stuff, what it does, it actually dissolves the plastic and melts it, and it causes it to glue together that way. So all right, here's our little tray. So this is basically a hover, like a hover loader thing. And if you're questioning these, you can see these in like Rebels and stuff like that. They've showed them there. Probably, I can't quite remember, but I'm guessing that you would have also seen those in Clone Wars and stuff like that. So that's the first part. It looks pretty rough, right? But all we need to be able to see is this outside edge. If we can get that to focus. All we need to be able to see is this outside edge and that kind of stuff. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get some of the putty out. We'll get the corners done up with putty so we can clean it up and make it look real nice and that kind of stuff. Um, I squared it up a fair amount. I can hold it in a way that you can actually see it. That's squared up fairly well. Won't take much putty to fill these little gaps. This side's actually really good after I sanded it down a little bit. But we'll fill up the gaps. We'll also fill up this middle section as well. And that way it's all done up there. I need a couple of boxes. And I'm going to have each box be maybe a 1/4 inch tall. So between these two lines right here is a 1/4 inch. So maybe a 1/4 inch tall. Seems like a pretty decent size. Plus the idea that, I want to go with the idea that you would need this kind of hover thing in order to be able to pick it up. So Okay, 2 basic boxes. Let's turn our attention to a barrel. And those boxes will get dressed up a little bit, and you'll see how soon. So I want this barrel to be a bit longer. So we want it to be a bit taller. So we're going to go with we're going to go with, yeah, 3/16 of an inch. Or 3/8, sorry, 3/8. Honest, I know how to measure. Okay. So with this, I need to be able to add some texture. Alright, so this side here, you can see where this piece, I had so much of the solvent on there that it actually broke. And it's not 100% dry, but it's pretty well done. So it's not 100% in the middle, but that's okay. It doesn't necessarily have to be. What I'll do is I'll put the broken part to the back. That'll give us some shape. And I thought about putting another band up along the top, but I don't know if I'm going to because it is a lot of work. I would have been better off melting it, I think. Heating it up. I think it would have held better. Yeah. It gets so brittle. It's so very brittle. Plus, I don't think that they're compatible plastics. I think it's part of the problem. So this one's melting, I think, but the other one, the actual tube, I don't think is actually melting. Alright, I'm going to try to just heat it up a little bit and see if it'll hold its shape. Nope. Maybe we need to heat it a little bit more. All right. I think we've monkeyed around with that enough. Get my Bondo applied for those that are anything about car car body work. This is mostly dry. I'm going to let it dry longer, and we'll sand it off and start getting it cleaned up and that kind of stuff and get it ready. Obviously, I'm going to sand this all smooth here. These I'll sand up and get cleaned up when they're done and ready to go. And we'll see if we can't make a couple boxes. What I might end up doing as well on these boxes is I may put some of this around the box. We'll see though. Maybe on the bottom or something. Something to give it a little bit more shape other than just some square box. So let's see how that comes out and we'll go from there. And hope you guys are enjoying that little bit. I'll probably spread this out over a couple videos. So yeah, we'll see how all that goes. All right, later. All right, here we are. I've got this blacked out. It's time to put this on. I think it goes on. Oh, I know it goes on this way. So we just have to make sure we get the holes lined up. And once we get those holes lined up, then we can just push it down. All right, so we got some of them. There we go. Holes are lined up. We can now flip it over, and this one might be a challenge because I don't want it to fall back out. So let me get this flipped over here. See? It fell out. There we go. All right. So I've got it there. Now I'm just going to get a couple screws started so it doesn't fall back out. All right. There we go. That is now the completed bottom of the Millennium Falcon. Of course, there's, these pieces up here to put in and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there's piping and whatever. But for the most part, this is completed. We've still got these pieces back here on the louvers and whatnot. So that is the end of issue 48. The rest of it talks about painting, which we'll get into much later. And in 49, we're going to get some more framework, some more detail parts, a bunch of screws and stuff, and some plating, all for the top piece, which I'm sure we won't start putting that together until later. We've still got some other stuff like the other gun turret, seat, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and may the force be with you always.